I do love being on tour though, like being away with the boys and stuff. And I didn't go to university or do the student thing, so I guess rooming with one of the boys and being boys really, it's quite like, it is a good laugh. There's plenty of banter flying around. You can good conversations in the bedroom and that, just chilling out, having a laugh. So I do like that side of things, but when you get to week 6, 7 and 8 of touring, then you suddenly do start missing home. I miss the dogs back at home as well. They'd probably miss them the most because you can't talk to them, your dogs. They're probably wondering where I am. So, but yeah, having family over, like whenever I go on tour now, it'll be a must. If they're over, it does make it so much easier.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been like quite a lot of ups and downs, for you, I guess, personally, like not, coming out and having niggles and not playing for ages and stuff. So
yeah,
has it been hard to deal with, or has it been?
I always say as well, if I can just control what I'm in control of, which is what I can do, then I don't have to worry about anything else. And the first game I hadn't played for 7 weeks, so I knew in my head I wasn't going to play well, or as well as I want to, because it takes me a few games to get timing at the breakdown, match fitness, and to get that sharpness really. So during the Waratahs game, I thought every game was a step up then. Second game into Waratahs, I felt better. And obviously with the last test now, I was really pleased with my performance, but disappointed with the hamstring. I knew as soon as I went back, I was getting cleared out of a jackal position, and I felt it pop. And I didn't tell the physios that because I was hoping it wasn't going to be that bad on the scans, but I sat down with the game ready ice machine on, watching the rest of the game, and I knew I wasn't going to play this week. So I kind of got my head around that pretty quickly. But then I was on reflection. Then I got back to my hotel. I get all my Lions jerseys out. They've all been washed in the laundry, and you have a look at them. They all got your name on them and stuff. And if somebody had told me at the start of the season I would have started 4 games at number 7, which is the position and number I absolutely love number 7. Played this I was 10, and I would have had 4 jerseys, all as captain, and 2 of them were test starts. I would have bitten their arm off. So even though I'm getting not to be playing this Saturday, I think back, because like the Lions, has been my dream really since I was a young boy, and I've been able to live it, and I've done 2 test matches, and you want to play in the warm-up games, but for me it's always been about a test match, and I've managed to start 2 of them, and my mum and dad and my fiancée Rachel were there to watch it as well, so I guess I'm pretty lucky in hindsight.
I remember you said to me the day I first met you in Scion Park, it was like that you didn't, I think the last Lions tour or something, you didn't want to buy like a replica jersey, and you
That's
said to your
right.
dad or something that the next one I get is going to have to be the real one.
Yeah, definitely. It was the 05 Lions tour, so I had a number 7 jersey on my back. They got me the Lions jersey with an official Lions number 7 with a little logo on. So I used to wear it around, running around pretending I was Martin Williams or Lewis Moody or whatever. They were the guys playing 7 back then, Neil back. And I wore it everywhere. I took it to school, wore it around with the house with my mates and that. And after a couple of years, I started getting really competitive, and I took it off. I just remember telling my dad, I'm not going to wear it again, because the next one I want to get, I want it to be a real one. And then sort of every moment of training I've had for the last 8 years since that last tour really, whether you go running on your street with some headphones on, or whether you're in the gym. I used to go late at 9 o'clock at night with my brother when no one else was around. Lunch times at the school, he used to open the gym for me just to do some extra work and that. And it was all geared towards playing for Lions. Obviously, you want to play for Wales and Cardiff, but I set my sights really high, my goals really high when I was a kid. I remember just thinking, every time I trained and I go back to my lounge, I look at above my fireplace or whatever, and I thought, the goal is to get a signed, framed Lions jersey and bang it up above the fireplace, because that's something I'd be immensely proud of. And I look now, in the first test I've got now as captain, we won it. I can't wait to get home. The first thing I'll do is go home, frame it and stick it up on the lounge wall, because I don't put any rugby memorabilia. If you're in my house, you probably wouldn't know I was a rugby player. I got nothing up because I like to keep it low key really, but that would be the one thing which I'd be immensely proud of, and I can't wait to slam it up on the wall when I get home.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That really is. That's amazing that you set your sights to the highest possible point in the game.
I remember my dad brought home a questionnaire when I was younger, and I was like 14, 15 or something, and it says, name, age, rugby position or sport position, whatever. So I wrote down Sam Warburton rugby, and it said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember writing down Lions rugby legend, and I gave it back to my dad to give it back to his mate or something. I don't know why, it was like a school thing. And then my dad said, Sam, you can't write that down, that looks a little bit arrogant. I said, well, no, that's what I want to be, Dad, that's what I want to do. So I haven't achieved it yet, I definitely want to be having a taster of this tour. Definitely wants me to work harder now again to make sure you don't miss out in 4 years' time. In 4 years' time then, New Zealand. Naturally you'll think ahead of it, because I know now I'm not going to play again this tour, and I knew that was my last, potentially could be a last ever Lions game, but I'll do everything I can now to, when it comes to preparation, and to make sure I can get on that tour in 4 years' time to New Zealand then.
there's not a sense of like, you know, you've done it and then you want it again. You've had a taste and then
There is a sense of relief because so it's kind of like an Olympian, you know, like the Olympics come around every 4 years. This sort of analogy I use, and then I think, you know, would you see a world-class athlete, someone like say Jess Ennis, who's going into a heptathlon, on the drink, you know, a week before a first event or whatever, you know, you prepare for 4 years for that. And it's not just those 4 years, it's the years beforehand when you were a kid. All that preparation has made you the athlete you are today. So I sort of think of that as like a lion cycle. So I want to do everything I can in my power to make sure that, you know, when I take the pitch I can do and perform, you know, the best as possible. And that's what I did, which is why if I hadn't have played in a test game or hadn't started at number 7, I would have felt, you know, I would have been gutted because I knew I'd have to work extra hard in the next 4 years to make sure I achieved it again. So now I've got that number 7 jersey as a test starter. There's a massive weight on my shoulders and does feel like an amazing accomplishment. You know, I am very proud of myself for that. And it is a huge tick in the box, which I always was so desperate to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a little look back again at your what you said in the speech before the second test, and it was like you said, "I don't care." One bit that stuck with me, like, "I don't care if you can't play next week.
Yeah,
I can give it everything."
That's me now.
It happened to you, didn't it? Like,
yeah,
you were happy with your performance, and you know.
Yeah, I did say that before the game because it was so important. If we could have put it to bed then, that's it, and that's, you know, Brian mentioned it in the week. That's your life as a rugby player made of accomplishment-wise, because you've achieved something so rare. It would just be unbelievable to be able to experience that. So I didn't care whether, you know, Warren says it to us beforehand. He used to say, if you come back in the changing room, I don't want you to be able to take your shirt off. I want people to have to take the shirt off for you because you're so spent and knackered. And he always used to say the phrase "empty the tank," and literally just completely just give it absolutely everything. So you're literally getting dragged off the pitch, and that's kind of how I felt really going to that second test. I'd never been so pumped up before a test, because it was kind of, I knew this was it, the chance to sort of seize the opportunity you always wanted. So I guess it did happen to me. I didn't know at the time it was, but you know, I gave it absolutely everything. And normally you'd be devastated after a game where you're injured and you can't play the next week. But I know that in the last 4 games, and particularly that last game, I couldn't have done any better. And I give it everything. And coaches have said that to me in the past. Oh, if you give it everything, that's all you can ask. I've never really understood that, because I always the sort of person I want to win all the time. But I could understand it last week, because I did give it absolutely everything. I tried my heart out, and I couldn't have done any better. So that's why, you know, in hindsight, I'm not as disappointed as I thought I might have been. Even though you gutted, I'm not as gutted as I thought I'd been, because you know, I did give it everything then.
When you've been in losing changing rooms in your career at different levels, and you know everything, how did that one feel?
You know, the first thing I think, which puts rugby into perspective, it happened after I got sent off in the semi-final in the World Cup, and I got back home, and I was obviously gutted. I was young then, at the time I was like 22 or whatever. It was a pretty big thing to go through, but I got home, and my granddad died. So kind of put things into perspective here. Somebody interviewed me, and they said about, how would you feel, you know, the press constantly putting it on you, how would it feel to get sent off and all this, and trying to make me feel bad. And I kind of just shut them up and I said, well, to be honest with you, my granddad died a month after I come back from the World Cup, and it just makes you realise life goes on. And that's what I really think, you know, after a game. So like last week, you know, I was just thinking, you know, life goes on. We still got another chance next week to win. It's not life or death if you lose a rugby game. Obviously you get it, but we were in the situation last week that we can just front up next week and make sure that we're in the same situation now in the changing room that we were this morning. You still woke up with that optimism, belief, and opportunity to win a test series, and that's the position we're still in now. So yeah, you can understand players' disappointment initially straight after, but you soon got to pick yourself back up and re-motivate yourself for that third test then.
Absolutely. I mean, it's I don't know, I felt Noosa was kind of like a bit of a funny one. It was like, it was a separate, you know, it was good to get away, I suppose, from the pressure and the city and everything like that.
Yeah, I tell you what, Noosa was good because people who don't play rugby at the top level won't appreciate it, and this doesn't mean to sound demeaning or whatever, but to go through a season which we've gone through of 11 months, which is pretty much an 11-month season, and every game, because you've been under the microscope, the Lions microscope, every game since September, like, you have to emotionally get yourself up in the week to like a peak to make sure you play well. You play the game, you go through all the pressures and nerves of the game, and then you come straight back down, and then you go straight back up the week again after, and emotionally you're going up and down all year. And there's not, for international players, you play your league, your Heineken Cup and your Six Nations and internationals, you don't have many download weeks. So to go to Noosa was good for the boys just to emotionally just come right back down. Have 3-4 days where you can switch off from rugby. You're still on the laptops looking at moves and things, but at this point of the tour, you all know exactly what you've got to do. And we still trained Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we started 3 good training sessions, but it's brilliant just to sort of calm down, get away from rugby. You can come back into Thursday and you feel refreshed, and you need to. So I thought it was a real good call to go there, because you can't stay there all season. You have to be able to come back down. And I thought that was the sort of perfect timing to do that. The one thing I've noticed on these tours, which I wouldn't have known coming into it, is one thing I picked up is when there's team selection for a test, say you pick it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, the session after that is such a heated session, because there's boys there who are pissed off they're not picked, boys there obviously were delighted, and it's a very weird atmosphere at training. If it could be a little bit ratty, some nerves, bit of pressure because people feel they have to deliver. Then the session afterwards, then like you kind of get it out the way on that Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever. Then the Thursday session or Friday always runs really smoothly, and every captain's run we've had has been really sharp, short, no balls down. I think it's just players need that just to get out of their system. The next training they're okay. So that's the one thing I've sort of picked up. The session after team selection is always pretty heated, and understandably so, because it's the biggest selection meeting that you've ever been in as a rugby player, and will be. And players are obviously desperate to get picked for the starting team.
Yeah. Are you kind of just looking around today? Obviously, you wish you were involved and you wish you could be there. How are you just feeling the things the boys seen this morning? Breakfast and stuff.
It's a strange one, because when you're picked for test matches or big Grand Slam games or semi-finals and World Cup games, you go through the week preparations, particularly match day. The one thing I hate about rugby is not ice baths or the ridiculous fitness camps in Poland I've done, or things like that, getting up at 6 in the morning. It's the match day, and some people love game day. I personally hate it. Just waking up and trying to eat. I can't eat game day because I'm too nervous, and you've got to eat 3 meals before your game at 8 o'clock. It's just it's painful trying to watch me eat those 3 meals, try and get food down me, but I need it for fuel. And you do think sometimes, why am I putting myself through this? Like, it's just so much stress and pressure. And then when you play the game, for example, the first test when you win, you get back into the change room after that. It's just the most amazing feeling ever, and it completely outweighs what you've been through in the day. And I got a bit worried because I felt like that. And I read somewhere Steve Redgrave said the same thing before a race. He was thinking, why is he putting himself through this? When I read that, and read the relief he has afterwards, and that's when you realise how much you love your sport and why you want to do it. It made me feel okay, because I didn't know if I was the only person thinking that, because you don't want to speak to that to the other players. But so not being involved now, today, I feel very relaxed and stuff. But when you get taken out of that situation, you do anything to be put back in there and to feel those nerves again. And I think that's one thing you'll miss. You definitely miss when you're injured, and you'll miss when you retire as well. And that's what makes game day special, despite the fact you hate them. At the same time, it's quite strange you absolutely love them when you're not involved.
So, Sam, what's going through your mind when you walk out into a test match and the second thing? You're leading the Lions out in the first game of your career. What do you think about your missus or your mum and dad? Or
yeah, when I walk out, I kind of change to this. I remember thinking my sort of mentality when I go out to a game to stop me from feeling nervous. I've been like this since I was a young boy. I was like, I'm not nervous about my opposite number 7, because when I was a young kid, like I mentioned earlier, I was like, I want to be the best 7 in the world, and no one's going to stop me doing that. So I kind of think, I've got to be better than him. He can't be as good as me, because I'm going to be, the best guy in the world. And that's kind of what I'm thinking when I'm going out there. And I worked with my psychologist, Andy McCann, and we have a personal identity statement which is along those lines. And that just fills me up with confidence, really. So I'm sort of repeating that in my head when I'm walking through the tunnel, walking out onto the pitch. I think about my family, my fiancée and my sister, my brother and things like that, and teachers who've got me to where I am in the changing room, because you have a long time, like 45 minutes. You probably see me with my headphones on and I just stare into nothing. And they're things I'm thinking about, and it's making me realise, not to waste this opportunity, and how much hard work has gone in for me to just be sitting in that changing room slot, with the number 7 jersey hanging behind my back, and it makes me realise how hard I've worked to get there. But when I'm onto the pitch, it's nothing but, sort of confident thoughts about how good I'm going to play, really, and that's my approach. When I get out onto the pitch then, I got nothing else in my mind apart from thinking about, putting in a big first hit, first carry, tackle, whatever. Only positive thoughts going through my mind in that sort of 5-minute build-up before kick-off.
Does the aggression come naturally then? it?
Yeah, I'm naturally an aggressive person anyway. If I'm at home watching Tottenham Hotspur play, for example, who's my favourite football club, you watch me, my brother and my dad, and when Tottenham score, we're all frothing at the mouth, punching the air, screaming. We're pretty aggressive. My mum hates it, you know, my fiance, they can't stand it because we're so aggressive when they score, and it's similar when I play sport as well. If I celebrate, I'm aggressive. I don't know why, it's just my brother's got a shorter fuse than I have as well, and I think it just must be a family trait because we're all pretty similar, and that aggression is... I was playing football, I joined a club which had an impeccable record, no yellows, no reds. I joined up for them for 1 year and I had like 3 yellows and 2 red cards. And I realised I got to play rugby just because I got to smash some people, you know. So I love rugby for that reason. Within the rules of the game, of course, but you can try and impose yourself then.
Cool, brilliant, nice one, mate.
Happy
Thank you
days.
very much.